We're going to move on now to Ryan Garcia. He's going to be back in the ring. It's officially been announced against Oscar Duarte on December 2nd. Of course, this is a DAZN broadcast. It's not going to be on pay-per-view, Brian. But your thoughts on Ryan Garcia getting back into the ring, and how do you feel about him fighting a guy like Oscar Duarte?
So Oscar Duarte is, I think he's going to be he's more credible than people are going to give him credit for. And I think this is exactly the type of fight that I would want Ryan Garcia to have coming off the Gervonta Davis loss, if that makes sense, right? Like, there's a certain level of competition you want to see off a rebound. Like, no, he's not going to lose to Gervonta Davis and then go right into Devin Haney, Regis Prograis winner, right? Like, he's not going to fight Richardson Hitchens even, right? You want to see him fight somebody who's like, got a little bit of a history of being in fights with some credible dudes. Duarte's 26-1-1 with 21 knockouts. He can crack. He's a lightweight that's going to come up to 140, and which, unsurprisingly, that's part of the boxing business is you find a guy who's credible in the weight class right below, and you sort of make them come up a few pounds. So, it is what it is. But Oscar Duarte, Mexican style fighter, which Shantelle, that's your bag right there.
Yeah.
Knocked out Alex Martin, who's been in the ring with some credible dudes. And also, this was interesting to me as I was looking this up because I had forgotten this happened, but he stopped Roger Gutierrez. Roger Gutierrez, this was in 2018. Roger Gutierrez became WBA super featherweight champion at one point, or fought for the title. Actually, was somebody who was going to fight Hector Luis Garcia, or was going to fight Chris Colbert, actually. And then he was replaced by Hector Luis Garcia because, injury, illness, whatever it was. And then Hector Luis Garcia came in and beat the shit out of Chris Colbert. Roger Gutierrez, sorry guys, new apartment, you know what I'm saying? So I'm a little frazzled right now. But Roger Gutierrez came in, and then Hector Luis Garcia beat him too. And ultimately, yeah, I think that this is a good test for Ryan Garcia. See where you at. See if you could stop this guy. And then we'll see him back in a bigger fight in the spring. And I think logically, and Oscar De La Hoya said this, he wants to make Ryan Garcia versus Teofimo Lopez or Devin Haney, presumably maybe even Regis Prograis if he beats Devin Haney, on like Super Bowl weekend in February. Now, if Ryan Garcia is fighting in December, I'm not sure he's going to do that.
Yeah.
But look, Ryan Garcia versus Teofimo Lopez or Devin Haney or Regis Prograis, sign me up.
Yeah, Oscar Duarte, I think a lot of people are going to be sleeping on him. He does have power. 21 of his 26 wins are by knockout. And I think he's a guy that he does some really nice body work. I mentioned the power. I think he shells up a lot. So I do think he's going to be taking a lot of punches. Like, that's the only thing I really, really don't like about his fight style is the fact that he uses the high guard so much. But I think that bows in Ryan Garcia's favor, because that's what we want to see from Ryan Garcia. We just saw him come off the Tank Davis fight, and it was the highest selling pay-per-view of this year. And everyone's like, well, why is he fighting Oscar Duarte? But this is actually a good fight for him. Do not sleep on him. He's Mexican-style boxer. He is going to bring it. I think he has a good jab, but it's just, this is the perfect fight for Ryan to get back in the mix, because remember, after that fight, there was all of this drama that came about. Oscar De La Hoya wasn't at the presser, the post-fight presser. Nobody from Golden Boy was, and Ryan Garcia was trying to leave Oscar De La Hoya at one point. And then it was like he moved over to Derek James as his new trainer. Like, there was a lot of transitions that Ryan Garcia went through. Now, is this the fight that I personally wanted after coming off a Tank Davis fight? I'm not saying this is a bad fight. I think this is a really good, I wouldn't even say a tune-up fight. This is a real fight for Ryan, because even before Tank Davis, there were performances where we were like, I don't know, like, was that a good performance? Like, I don't think Ryan Garcia has had a stellar performance.
One.
Which one would you say?
Javier Fortuna.
Yeah, the Javier Fortuna one, he did definitely look better. Former champ Javier Fortuna, right? People forget about that.
Right, and Fortuna's a real dude. Like, he's not, I understand that he's not, at the Ryan Garcia level, at the Gervonta Davis level, but Fortuna's a real dude that at that point of his career, it's like, you have to remember, Ryan Garcia, he gets dropped by Luke Campbell, and then it's like, all right, so
well,
Javier
that was
Fortuna
the thing
could
that
push him.
Well,
And
that's what we
then
wanted to see. Yeah. And
yeah.
remember, he was supposed to fight Jojo Diaz at one point,
Mm.
and then he had to get surgery on his hand. So this is a good fight, but I just think in terms of it being a big name, I would have liked him to fight Adrian Broner. I would have been into that fight. I could have been into Tevin Farmer. Right? I could have been into
Well, Tevin,
Montana Love. I could have
uh,
been into like I'm just talking about the names, right? Because we're sitting over here, we're like, yo, don't sleep on Oscar Duarte. That's what we're saying,
I think
right?
Oscar Duarte could beat Montana Love
Yeah, but
at this
think
point.
about it. Which one is the bigger name? Like that's the comparison that I'm trying to make here.
That's sure. I mean, I don't know. Montana Love is not, but he's not like
It's a
if we
more
if
known name. It's a more known name in
I guess,
North
but
America. That's all I'm trying to
think
say.
I think it doesn't matter because like if you're doing the casual fight fan test and I text my friends, have you heard of Montana Love? Nobody's gonna say anything. And then if I send them the viral clip of him throwing Steve Spark out of the ring, they'll probably be like, "Oh, maybe I've seen that before." That's it. You
But I
know,
think they might know him better than Oscar Duarte. I'm
I
only
don't think they're
saying
gonna know
this.
either. If I'm being honest.
Well, if you're a Ryan Garcia fan, you're probably not going to know either, right? Because Ryan Garcia, he transcends the sport. Like he brings in a lot of viewers that aren't necessarily boxing fans or casual boxing fans. But I'm just saying, necessarily coming off a pay per view with Tank, like the bigger name, I wouldn't have minded him being in a ring with a bigger name. Not to say like, yo, I'm going to sleep on Oscar Duarte. Like that's not the point. I'm hyped for this fight. I think he's actually going to give Ryan Garcia some action in the ring because of the skills that he possesses. But when I take a look at those other guys that I just mentioned, I could have been down for one of those fights. And I think that would have been a bigger billing is what I'm trying to say. Where people would be like, okay, Ryan's coming off a Tank fighting one of these guys that have more cachet, regardless of if you think Duarte is gonna beat Montana Love or something like that. I think he could beat Montana Love, especially after Montana Love's last performance. But before we get out of this, Bryan, your final thoughts on Ryan Garcia returning to the ring and your expectations for him, especially at 140 pounds.
You got me looking up like who are some of the guys maybe at 140 who wouldn't have to move up from lightweight, but then again he made somebody move up from lightweight. But I'm looking at who are some of the other guys at 140 who, you know, probably could have fulfilled like what you're talking about. Sandor Martinez one, don't know what he's
Perfect.
up to,
Tricky
but
fighter, though. I don't know if he would win that fight, right? I don't know. Like the guys that I listed, I think Ryan can beat,
you want to
right?
talk about being tested. I mean, Sandor Martin is somebody who, listen, some people would argue that he beat
Teofimo
Teofimo
Lopez.
Lopez, and he did beat Mikey Garcia, right? Like he is a
Well, I
tricky
mean, Mikey
fighter.
Garcia is not what we thought Mikey Garcia was going to be at one point, right? I mean, let's be serious. Like we thought Mikey Garcia was going to be that dude, but I don't think he like had his heart in it near the end, right? So
Jose Pedraza. I mean,
tough
I don't.
fight, tough fight.
Is he still with Top Rank? But like, I think these are the kind of guys. And then if you're looking at lightweights, you could convince to come up. You mentioned Tevin Farmer. I don't think Tevin Farmer is coming up because he's talking about being a champion at lightweight, which the last guy he knocked out was under 500 his record, but he's looking to position himself as a contender. So we'll see how that goes. But I'd watch that fight if it were to happen.
Yeah.
Just speaking of tricky fighters, by the way, um, Ryan Garcia, I mean, he's at the zone, so he's not going to fight an Isak Cruz. That would be fun, though. But that's just not going to happen promotionally because the sport is a sport and it is what it is. And William Zepeda, he's not coming up from lightweight, but he
No.
did beat Mercito Hesta in his last fight.
A
And
very good
Hesta,
performance. Very good performance. Hesta's like that's a real dude in the ring.
well,
And
he was supposed to, not supposed to, strong, but he was rumored to fight Ryan Garcia earlier this year when
mhm.
Ryan Garcia was contemplating taking a tune-up or a stay busy fight before the Tank Davis fight because Tank Davis fought Hector Garcia before that. Ryan Garcia, there was talk about him fighting Hesta, and that didn't happen, which I think I think this Oscar Duarte fight is actually like that level of fight, which is fine.
No, it
But
is. And to be honest with you, after what William Zepeda did to Hesta, it's just like if Ryan didn't come in and knock him out that quick, like it would have been like, oh, why didn't Ryan knock him out? So I actually think this is a better fight because it's actually a formidable opponent. I'm just talking about like the name, like the cachet of
Yeah.
it, right? It's a little bit different, but I think we're all going to be pretty surprised when we see Ryan in the ring, and he wants a good performance. It's not supposed to be a tune-up fight.
New
I
trainer.
would not say this is a tune-up fight, and that's another thing too, right? How is he going to look under the tutelage of a guy like Derek James, who, of course, Spence. He took that L with Spence, and
Trainer of the
now with
year last
Jermel
year.
Charlo. I mean, at least his camp is crazy. At least AJ won, right?
Trainer of the
AJ
year last year, and taking a couple of high profile L's, but help position the fighters to take those fights. So that's what's important. And if Anthony Joshua does get that Deontay Wilder fight, might have another high profile loss this year. But I don't think that fight's happening this year. But I'd love to be wrong, but I just don't believe in it like that. So it is what it is.
For sure. Drop your comments below. Let us know what you think about Ryan Garcia's fight. Are you hyped for him and Oscar Duarte? And let us know if you had in your mind he should fight a guy like Montana Love, maybe a Jose Pedraza, which I think would be a really dope fight. Sandor Martin,
That's
whoever
the
you
one for
thought
me.
that
Fight Sandor Martin. I want to
too
see if he
tough.
figures that out.
I think that's too tough as like a tune-up fight. Oscar Duarte is too, but I mean Sandor Martin, listen, that's a really, really tricky fight. I don't know how that one would go. I would probably lean towards Sandor Martin. I'm not even gonna play with you. But let us know. Drop your comments below. Are you hyped for this Ryan Garcia fight? It's not gonna be on pay-per-view. It's just gonna be on a regular DAZN. If you have the app, you'll be able to watch it. Nonetheless, drop your comments. And remember, if you like the content, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. And